So even though we're already in August of 2025, Apple still has an abundance of new products that are slated to release still this year. Of course, we have iPhone season, which is less than a month away, and it's going to bring a bunch of new products, but then after that, we still probably have a late fall event in October that's going to give us some awesome products, and there's one that I'm super excited about because it hasn't seen a change in almost 5 years. So without further ado, let's talk about all things that we should expect from Apple for the remainder of the year, including everything coming during iPhone season and thereafter. Let's get into it. But now, before we continue, if you do enjoy videos like this one where we keep you up to date on all things Apple and what's coming out sooner rather than later, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a comment down below of your most anticipated product of 2025. Now, let's get into the first thing, which of course, we're going to run through the main iPhone stuff that's happening with iPhone 17 real quick. So let's quickly talk about the iPhone 17 lineup because we've spoken about it before, and I have one final video kind of going in detail about these iPhone products, but to quickly go over what we know that September 9th is going to be the anticipated event date, so mark your calendars, it's all but confirmed. We've got some carrier leaks indicating that September 9th will be the release date, or at least the release date for the event, with pre-orders on September 12th and iPhones getting in people's hands on September 18th or 19th. But in terms of the new iPhone, we're going to be getting an iPhone 17, which is going to be the most familiar out of the bunch. This iPhone 17 is going to look relatively identical to the current iPhone 16, with a few added upgrades compared to last year, with most of them being on the display. First off, we're going to go from 6.1 to 6.3 inches in terms of the display for the iPhone 17, meaning that the smallest iPhone is going to be 6.3 inches in size, not including the iPhone 16e. And then also, we're going to be getting 120 Hz displays on every single iPhone on the iPhone 17 lineup, which is something that a lot of people are going to like. And then once we get people on that promotion in the 120 Hz, there's no going back. This will also allow for an always-on display and will carry the A19 chip. And then we have the iPhone 17 Air, which is going to be replacing the iPhone Plus in this lineup. Of course, the iPhone 17 Air, this is just going to be Apple flexing their muscles from a design standpoint and what they can do from a thinness standpoint, which is slated to be only 5.5 millimeters in thickness. Of course, there's going to be some sacrifices to this thing, right? Like, there's not going to be any bottom speakers, no physical SIM card, no matter what region of the world you're in. You're only getting one camera on the rear, which is going to be that 48 megapixel shooter. But again, this is going to be all about thinness, all about form factor, and all about just material science that Apple's been able to put together and see how efficient they can get from a battery standpoint and a chipset standpoint with their A19. And then we have the 17 Pro and the 17 Pro Max. This one's going to look the most different. It's going to have some sort of two-tone design with a whole camera bar on the rear. We're going to have the triple camera array, of course, a 24 megapixel front shooter, the best displays you can get on any iPhone, the best battery life, especially on the Pro Max. And this is going to be Apple's flex moment when it comes to an overall capability standpoint. So on the iPhone 17 Air, it's all about material science and flexing their muscles from a design standpoint. And the Pro Max standpoint is going to be throwing everything that they have into this iPhone 17 Pro Max to flex their muscles in terms of what can be possibly done in this form factor with their iPhone 17 line. So that's what we should expect from an iPhone situation on September 9th from Apple. And then next up, let's talk about the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch will be getting an Apple Watch Series 11 as well as an Apple Watch Ultra 3. The Series 11 will remain pretty much the same from a design standpoint. It'll get a little bit better internally with a faster S-Series chip, a new 5G modem, and potentially a blood pressure monitoring system, which will be on the Series 11 and the Apple Watch Ultra 3. Now, the Apple Watch Ultra 3 will be getting its first redesign of all time because, again, we've had the same exact design for about 3 years now at this point. This one will have a better system on a chip, also get that 5G modem, and it'll have a larger display, smaller bezels with that kind of waterfall design that we've seen with the iPhone Series 10 that we got last year. So I'm excited for this Ultra 3 because it's going to be something new, something different, and something to see if it's going to be worth it or not moving forward. So that will be our Apple iPhone event that's going to happen on September 9th. Of course, we're going to get all the software updates as well, but from a hardware standpoint, that should be it from that moment. But then in the fall, we're going to be getting a bunch of new products that are kind of focused on the ecosystem that is all things Apple. So let's start off with one of my favorites, which has to be the AirTags 2. AirTags 2 are slated to release this fall, and from a design standpoint, again, it's going to be identical to the older AirTags, but we're going to get an upgraded ultra-wideband chip for improved range and wayfinding, giving us almost 100 meters of distance, which is basically a whole football field, if you guys aren't aware, to give us that kind of cool UI from an ultra-wideband perspective to be able to find what we need to find from an AirTag standpoint, and it's going to give us much more enhanced privacy and ideally better battery life, but it should be running on the same exact battery cells as before, the replaceable ones that last you a year. So let's see exactly what that battery life looks like. All I know is that I have like 20 AirTags all around the house, and getting AirTags 2 to be able to get longer wayfinding is going to be great. And then what I'm most excited for this year is going to be the Apple TV 4K. The Apple TV 4K should be getting a new successor this year, which is going to have a bunch of new enhancements and updates, again, mostly internally. Maybe the design will change a little bit, but overall it's still going to remain just a console box. There isn't much they can do from a design standpoint for, again, a streaming box, but in my opinion, the Apple TV is one of Apple's best kind of hubs that you can have from an ecosystem standpoint, because it works so well with everything from continuity camera for FaceTime calls, continuity AirPod situations. So if you walk in with your AirPods, it'll ask you if you want to play on your AirPods. Then you also have all the AirPlay connectivity in the world. You have everything kind of just works perfectly on that Apple TV 4K, but we are going to be getting a new and faster chip, an in-house Wi-Fi and Bluetooth chip as well, so all that will be a lot faster, and Apple will own that entire stack from a hardware standpoint. And then also they're going to be adding Apple Intelligence into the Apple TV 4K. And lastly, there are rumors that Apple's either working on an external webcam for the Apple TV 4K, or they're building one directly into the Apple TV to allow for those FaceTime calls. Like I said earlier, continuity camera works, and it works relatively well, especially with the Apple TV 4K and on Wi-Fi, but it would be nice to have a dedicated camera if you are somebody who likes to take those phone calls or those FaceTime calls on your Apple TV on a larger display like your TV itself. Then we might be getting some small enhancements or improvements internally to Apple's HomePod Mini, because we haven't seen a refresh for that one in a long time. We got some new colors, I think a year or two ago, but internally they've remained the same for about 4 or 5 years now at this point. So a HomePod Mini 2 will be welcome with some Apple designed network chips to enhance performance overall, as well as better Wi-Fi 6E support to be your kind of HomePod speaker hub overall for your home. So an Apple HomePod Mini, I only have one of those right now. I don't really use it too much. I don't really speak to Siri too much through the HomePods, or really at all, but it will be a welcome upgrade overall. And that remains yet to be seen if it'll have on-device Apple Intelligence, which I think every kind of Apple product that relies on voice control and anything in your home should have Apple Intelligence to a certain extent. And then we should get the AirPods Pro 3 this year. So we've gotten improvements to the AirPods 4 this year with the AirPods 4, and then the ANC version of the AirPods 4. But the AirPods Pro, for the most part, have remained identical for years now at this point. We've had different iterations, sort of, with better active noise cancellation, going from the 1 to the 2s. Then we went from the Lightning cable to the USB-C cable. Then we even added MagSafe to the case themselves. But overall, the design has looked and done the same exact thing. Now, moving forward, we should be getting a new case, which could have a display on the case itself. And then the biggest upgrade to the AirPods Pro Gen 3 is going to be that it's going to have active heart rate monitors in your ears. Apple did add these to their Powerbeats already, so they already have that technology built in, and I'm curious to see how it's going to work with Apple Fitness and your workouts and all that good stuff. But they're just adding more health features to all your wearables, which I think is a nice little added bonus, because the more data, in my opinion, the better. And then the final thing we should have this year is going to be the debut of the M5 chip. The M5 chip will probably make its debut on a new iPad Pro. iPad Pro is going to remain identical on the outside, and probably the only real difference internally is going to be the M5 chip. Maybe they'll allow for 24 gigs of RAM or something like that, but the M5 chip will be added to the iPad Pro first and foremost, because that's what Apple usually does. And then eventually it'll get to the MacBook Air, the MacBook Pros, the iMacs, and then of course the Mac Pro, which will give us those M5 Ultras and the M5 Maxes of the world. But one thing that it will be added onto as well is going to be Apple's new Vision Pro 2, which will get the M5 chip as well as Apple Intelligence and everything that comes with that to, again, be able to handle everything that's coming forward from a neural engine scenario in the Vision Pro. I haven't used the Vision Pro in a long time. I haven't been able to play with Vision OS in their beta version, but I do think there is a future where the Vision Pro will be a little bit more accessible. But I'm curious to know what Apple's going to do, if they're going to kind of lower the price a little bit and just trying to get it into more people's hands, or if they're just going to remain in terms of a top tier, putting everything that they can into the Vision Pro to show off just all the capabilities that it has by inputting the M5 chip in there, and then maybe even increasing the price and adding more sensors and cameras overall. But let me know in the comment down below what you think about the Vision Pro. Is that something that you've used? Do you plan on getting one? Have you used one before? Have you done the demo at an Apple store? Do you think it's worth all the hype? I still think it's one of the best technological things that Apple's ever done, because it's amazing when you do use it. I just think it's a very overpriced tool for what it does right now. But that will do for this video, everybody. As you saw, there's a lot of excitement and a lot of new products still coming down the pipeline in 2025, even though we only have about 4 months left, which is also crazy to think about when it comes to this year. But let me know in the comment down below what you're excited for with all these new products. Are you going to pick up any of the new iPhones in the iPhone 17 lineup? Are you going to pick up a new Apple TV 4K? Are you going to be picking up something like a Vision Pro? Always curious to know what you guys are thinking about. But we're going to try something new. Leave an Apple-related joke down in the comments down below, and I'll pin it after 24 hours, whichever I think is the best one, or the one that made me chuckle, and we'll see who the winner is in the next video. But that'll do it, everybody. If you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below. And if you want to watch more videos like this one, consider subscribing and check out one of these videos right here. I'm Fernando. Peace, everyone.